Welcome aboard, Captain.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. This is Web Dev Hacks here, and we're going to make a very simple website. This is going to be a static website, and this will get you introduced to the views and the controllers inside of Laravel. So let's go ahead and start with these two things, the controllers and the views, and then the next project that we'll work on, we'll go ahead and introduce models. And that will be a dynamic website. Maybe we'll create a blog or something like that. So the first thing that we would need to do is we need to open up our terminal, and we will go into a folder that we want to create the application in. In my computer, we have it inside of our tutorials folder. So I've opened up a terminal inside of our tutorials folder, and all I'm going to do is type in Laravel new static or new, let's say, static site. Okay, hit enter. And it'll take a few seconds. It'll craft the application for us, download all of our dependencies, and make sure that everything's up to date. And in about 3, 2, 1, boom. Awesome. It has been successfully created, and the application is ready. So let's clear this by hitting Command K, and then we'll type in PHP artisan serve. Hit enter. Whoops. See? Even I forgot. So we'll cd into that static site folder, and then we'll type in PHP artisan serve, and that means that it will be available to us at 127.0.0.1 port 8000. However, I already have mapped the local host to that 127.1.1 or 127.0.0.1. So we'll just type in localhost port 8000, and voila, here we go. We have the Laravel application, and this is a Laravel 5.7 application, and it looks absolutely wonderful. So let's go back into our terminal. We'll open up a new tab, still in the static site folder here, and we'll open up this project in Sublime. Let me bring this over here so you guys can see it. Wonderful. So you guys probably don't know exactly what the model view controller paradigm is. So let me explain really quickly. The model connects to the database. The controller has all of the logic, meaning it pulls stuff from the database, it returns a view, etc. And the view is what is shown to the front-end user or the user of your site. So there's 3 locations that we have to remember: resources, views, and here is all of our views. So far we have our welcome.blade.php, which is this page here, okay? And as you can see, if I change this Laravel to hello world and save it, and then I go back and refresh, it changes right here. So this is our view, and this is just a normal HTML file, but we have it saved as welcome.blade.php. And the reason we save it as a .blade.php is because we want to be able to do things such as check if the route is login, or if it's /login, right? So that is called a blade directive, and we'll get more into that later on in probably the next project. But .blade.php allows us to use those Laravel blade directives, which basically is like a shorthand PHP, which is really awesome. So that's our view, and that's always stored in the views folder inside of the resources folder. So Let's go ahead and close that. We'll minimize those two things. Now, we have to talk about, the controllers as well. But before we talk about the controllers, let's talk about the routes. So the routes, the HTTP routes, now you have a couple of different routes. You have API, you have console, you have channels, and you have web. Okay, web is going to be the HTTP routes. And so if we open up this file, we can see that we are defining a route, and this is going to be a get method, and we are going to return /, which is the home page, and we're going to insert a closer function here. And this function will return the view welcome. And now notice that we don't have welcome.blade.php, right? We just have welcome. Now, Laravel will automatically make sure that welcome has welcome.blade.php at the end, or the blade.php. So it automatically takes care of that for us. So let's do something really, really easy. Let's go back to our resources views, and we'll create a new folder in the views folder. And we're going to call this pages. Now inside of our pages, we're going to create a new file that's going to be called index.blade.php. And we'll go ahead and copy all of this from the welcome.blade.php, and we will paste it right into our index.blade.php. We'll save that. And now we can get rid of the welcome.blade.php. So let's go ahead and delete that. No, I don't want to save it again. And now if we look here and refresh, it says view welcome not found. Okay, well, let's go ahead and tell it to look for index.blade.php. So let's just type in index, see what happens. Save it, refresh, index is not found. Well, that's right, because we've put it in the pages folder. So what we can do is we can do one of two things. We can do pages/index, or we can do pages.index. And that is a period, not a comma. So let's go ahead and use the dot syntax here. The reason being is because that's just generally how all Laravel developers that I know use to develop. They don't usually use the / unless it's a file path, for storing files and stuff like that. So we'll just go ahead and use the period. We'll save it. We'll refresh. And there it is. Wonderful. So now that's how you change, so the first one is going to be the folder, and then dot is going to be index. So for example, let's just duplicate this line real quick so I can mess with it. So say we had a login, right? So we'll go with so say we had a login folder. So login, and then we had an admin folder in that, and then .admin, and then the file name would be show form, right? .blade.php. So inside of our views, we would have a login folder, and then we would have an admin folder inside of the login folder, and then inside the admin folder, we would have the show form.blade.php file, again, inside the admin folder. So that's how the routes or the views work. So let's save that. And next, we are going to learn about controllers. So basically what a controller is it deals with all of the logic. And this here returning the view inside of our web.php file inside of our routes folder, that's not really the best way to go. You really want to avoid using any closure functions inside of your route, HTTP route file. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a new controller, and we're going to call this the pages controller. So Laravel makes this really, really easy and simple for us to do. Again, we're going to go ahead and clear this out. And so we're going to use the PHP artisan make command. PHP artisan, make. And what do we want to make? A controller. Wonderful. And what do we want to call this controller? Well, since the view, or since the index.blade.php file is inside of our pages our pages folder, let's just call this the pages controller. Okay? And usually the controller is named as a plural. So it wouldn't be page controller, it would be pages. So, so if you had a post, right? Like say you're making a blog, you wouldn't call this the post controller, you would call this the posts controller, plural. So let's just go with pages. And all we have to do is hit enter. And it's been successfully created. Wonderful. So where has it been stored at? Well, let's take a look at our app folder, and we'll go to HTTP. We'll go to controllers, and boom, right there, pages controller. Awesome. So how are we going to use this pages controller? So we want to create a public function, and that will be a getIndex function. And then after that, we define all the logic that we want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and comment this and say get index page, and then we will put the URL in there. So this is going to be the home page, right? So if it was going to be the login page, it would be /login. If it was going to be the /user/profile, that's what I would put in these parentheses here. But right now, we're just going to put in the /. So let's define a public function, and we're going to call this getIndex. And it's not going to take any parameters, but what we are going to do is we're going to return the view of pages.index. Exactly the same as our closer function here, right? So how do we get our web.php file to not use this closer function, but use this getIndex function here? That's really actually a lot easier than you think. So let's go ahead and get rid of this closer function. And all we're going to do is just pass in, instead of a closer function, we'll pass in a string. And that string will be pages controller. And then because we're defining a specific function. And then we'll put getIndex. Save it. And if we refresh, it still returns the same exact page. So that's pretty cool. So if we go to our pages controller and we say we want to change, this to just index, right? If we save it and we refresh, it says getIndex does not exist inside of our pages controller. Well, that's because we just changed the function name. So we would have to change the route as well. So I'm going to put getIndex because I believe that is a little bit more defining of what this function actually is doing. So instead of just index. So that's the basics right now of just the the pages controller, getting used to using controllers, getting used to routes, and getting used to views. And in the next episode, we will be making a contact form, and we'll be using Bootstrap in order to do this. And we also will make sure that we're including a couple of dependencies and stuff like that. And we'll also be teaching you guys on how to make templates, how to include things, basically how to yield and all of that stuff. It'll be an absolutely wonderful time. I hope you guys stay tuned for the next episode, and I will see you in the next one.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Hey there, guys. So in the last episode, we taught you guys how to do things with controllers, how to display a view, and how to make sure that you are using your routes effectively. In this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to create a template. And that template will be able to be the same, but will yield different content depending on what the route is. And I'll explain that as we go along. I know that's a little bit confusing to understand now, but we'll go ahead and get to that. So let's dive right in. All right, so let's see here. We will go to our index.blade.php file. And as you already know, having styles inside of your style sheet or inside of your HTML, it's not usually good. You want to link that into an external style sheet. So let's just go ahead and delete that, clear some things up. We'll go ahead and get rid of these fonts, and we will still keep the meta, and we'll keep the language because that's good. We do not need the if route has the login, any of that, because we're not going to create a login. That's going to be in the next project. And we don't need all of these links here. So that seems to be pretty basic, right? But let's go ahead and extrapolate this out a little bit and make it so that it can be a little bit more dynamic. So inside of our views folder, we're going to create a new folder called layouts. And then we are going to create a new layout called app.blade.php. We're going to go ahead and go to our index file. We're going to go ahead and copy all of this into our app.blade.php. And we're going to do a few things. So this hello world is going to be specific for the index.blade.php file. Okay. The title is also going to be specific for the index.blade.php file as well. So what we want to do is we want to actually use the yield and section blade directives. And you can look more, you can look at that with Laravel blade directives. Okay, you can look at the blade templates, right? So let's take a look at, where is it? Defining a layout. Okay, so here it is. It says, this is a pretty good one here. So the app name, right? And then it will yield a title, and it'll have the section of sidebar, and then it'll also have yield content, right? So let's go ahead and implement this into our site. So we're going to call this static site, because that's what it is. We'll put a dash, and then we'll type @yield, and that yield will be title, right? I'm going to change this from HTML to Laravel Blade. There we go. Save that. And we'll also go ahead and cut this, and we'll type in @yield content, and we'll save that as well. And now in our index.blade.php file, we can delete all of this, right? This is going to be crazy. So what we want to do is we want to extend. Again, hold on one second. We have to create, make sure that this is Laravel Blade. So we want to extend, or extends. I think it's extends. Yes, extends. That's what I thought. Extends. And then remember, we have a folder. The app.blade.php file is in a folder, so it's going to be layouts.app. And we will save this. We will go back. and refresh, and it's blank, which is to be expected because there is no content and there is no title. If you see up here in the top left-hand corner, it just says static site dash and then nothing. So we have to define the title and we have to define the content inside of our index.blade.php file. So the title we're going to go ahead and do in a simple section, okay? And we're going to say this is the title section. Now, you can do this of one of two ways. You can do it like this and just say homepage, right? Save it and go back and refresh. And now it just says homepage here. But we can get rid of these two lines of code. So let's go ahead and just put it all in one line, and we're just going to say homepage. And this is very efficient because we're not passing in a lot of content here. We're only passing in one word or a couple of words as a second parameter inside of this section function, and it's just going to save and refresh, and it's still displaying the same exact thing. So let's also define a section for content. And we'll do this the second way. End section. And remember how we cut the hello world out? Let's go ahead and paste that back in. And we will save it. And we'll go back and we'll refresh. And it says hello world. Wonderful. But what happened to the formatting? Well, that's because we haven't included Bootstrap or any type of Google Fonts or anything like that. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll go to getbootstrap.com and we will go to the documentation. And the quick way to do it is use the CSS CDN, and we'll copy that. We'll go back to our app.blade.php, paste that in, and we will go to our JS, right? JavaScript, and we'll go right before the body ends, and we'll paste that in, and we'll save that. And now, if we go back, we'll refresh. Now we have Bootstrap. Wonderful. So there's a few things I want to change in here. The first being, I don't want this or this, but I still want the content, right? But I want to put, darn it. There we go. I want to put the content inside of a row. And inside this row, I want it to be column small 12. And I also want this to be inside of a container. Awesome. 12. Boom. Now we'll go ahead and yield the content. And we'll go back. Save it. Wonderful. Now we have these little margins on the right and left hand side. I know you can't see it on the right hand side, but you can see it on the left. So what we will also do is we will create a navigation bar. So let's grab a navigation bar. Navs, right? Yes, navigation bar. And we can, there we go. Nav bar. And we'll grab the simple one. Where is it? I'm looking. Yeah, we'll just take this one here up at the very, very top, and we'll go ahead and do some stuff with it. Okay, so this time we are going to include the partial. Okay, and I'm going to teach you guys about partials. partials underscore dot underscore sidebar. And this is really interesting and awesome. And so we'll create a new view, or we'll create a new folder inside of our views folder, and we'll call it partials. And inside of that, we'll create a new file called sidebar underscore sidebar dot blade.php. And we'll go ahead and paste that sidebar that we just copied from the website over into there, and we'll save it. We'll refresh, and now we have a sidebar. And this just extrapolates out all of this code out of our app.blade.php, because we want very little code inside of our app.blade.php. We want this to be a very modular thing. So how can we even make this even more modular? Well, we can create a style sheets partial, right? And we can also create a scripts partial. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll create a new file, and we'll just call this stylesheets.blade.php underscore. And the reason we put it as an underscore is so that we know that it's a partial. And we'll also grab this, and we'll include partials dot underscore style sheets. Save that. Paste that in there. Close that. And we will create another one. Same thing for the scripts. Save that. Go to our partials underscore scripts.blade.php. Paste that in there. Let's also add some comments in here too. This is going to be for our Bootstrap JS. And let's go back into our, let's go back into our style sheets. And this is going to be Bootstrap CSS. And now we can go ahead and clean this up a little bit. And save it. And we'll refresh. And note, nothing has changed. Awesome. So that means we did everything correct. And now we can go to our sidebar, and we can format this a little bit differently. We'll go ahead and create the spaces as 2, or I mean as 4, and we'll get rid of some stuff. So we have navbar up here. We're just going to call this static site. Okay, this is going to be the title right here. And we will also make sure that the where is it? A navbar, everything inside of the navbar can be indented, and then that can be indented, that can be indented, this can be indented here, and then div, where's the end? There it is, cool. So we can go ahead and put that there. Here's the UL, everything inside of the UL, and we will enter that. And we actually don't even need this search bar, so we'll go ahead and just delete that. And let's see, here's the LI. Put that in there, put that in there, there, and here's a div box. Wonderful. And this is for the drop-down menu. We don't need a drop-down menu either, so let's just go ahead and get rid of this. And we also, yeah, so don't need that span in there either. And we'll save that. And let's refresh and see what it looks like now. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So we have a few links, which are cool. Notice that this is active, right? So if we get rid of this active and save it and refresh, it's not going to be highlighted. But we'll take care of that at a later video. But this looks like a good navbar for right now. And let's see here. I think that's about it. Oh, yes, there's one other thing I wanted to do. So every once in a while, you're going to need to have page-specific style sheets. And you want to include these page-specific style sheets inside of the inside of the index.blade.php file. So inside the actual page content. So if we have like a page specific style sheet, we'll have a section called style sheets. Okay. And in this section, we will have a style tag, and that style tag will have a type of text/CSS, and say we'll have a body. Let's just go ahead and do background black. And we want this whole background to turn black, but we only want it for that specific page, right? So we have to go back to our app.blade.php, and after our partials._style sheets, we want to yield style sheets. And we'll save that, go back, refresh. Now the background is black. So we've successfully implemented that, but let's also successfully implement page specific scripts. So we can do section scripts, and we'll do n section, and this will be a script tag, and in here we will do simple console.log hello world. Awesome. And let's go to after our partials_scripts, and we'll do a yield here of scripts, save it, refresh, and let's go to our console. And as you can see, hello world has been outputted there, so we've successfully implemented that as well. So that'll be good for later on. And we'll go ahead and call this a successful episode. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. I don't know exactly what's going to be in the next episode, but I have great hopes that it will be absolutely wonderful. If you guys are finding this informative, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We come out with a new video every single day, or close to it. And we would love to hear from you, as we're always trying to figure out what you guys want to learn. So this is Web Dev Hacks signing off.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Hey there, guys. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today, in this episode, we are going to continue on working on our static site. And every static site usually has a little bit of information, like an about page and a contact page. So we'll be creating those today. And we'll also be styling up the index page a little bit as well. So the first thing I want to do is work on the index page, and then we'll create the about page, and then we'll create the contact us page. And let's go to our navigation bar, or I'm sorry, not our navigation bar. Let's go to our Bootstrap website, and we're going to look up Jumbotrons, and we're going to put one of these right on our homepage. We'll copy this, and instead of hello world, we will paste the Jumbotron, and we'll make sure that the spacing is correct. We'll save it, refresh, and now we have a nice, beautiful Jumbotron right here. Awesome. So let's go ahead and say welcome to our site, and we'll give a small paragraph. This website is made using Laravel 5.7 and is following, or wait, no, 5.7. That's it. Cool. And then we will put underneath here, this site was made with the help of web dev hacks, and we'll go ahead and save that, refresh, wonderful, and we'll also just link real quick to twitter.com, and we'll go ahead and log in, save it, log in, go back to my website. Cool. I didn't know if we had a underscore in front of our username on Twitter. Cool. Web dev hacks, perfect. And follow on Twitter. Save it. Refresh. Wonderful. So here we go, all on that. But I really want to put a Twitter icon right here. And instead of saying on Twitter, I'm just going to put the Twitter icon and then follow. So we can use Font Awesome for this. Awesome. Font Awesome. And we'll go ahead and include the Font Awesome CDNs into our site. So all we have to do is copy this, go to our style sheets partial, and we'll type in Font Awesome as a comment, and we'll paste that in there. And we should be good to go. Yeah. There's no JS with it. Cool. Awesome. We'll go back and, whoops, I didn't mean to close that. And what we want to do is go to our icons and look up Twitter. And we'll use this one here because I don't really like the square one. I just want the logo itself. We'll copy this code. Notice that it's in an I tag with a class of FAB, FA-Twitter. So we'll copy this and we will go back to our index.play.php file and we'll get rid of follow on Twitter. And we will paste that in and refresh. And now we have a nice little Twitter follow button. And now that should be good for our homepage. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty simple site. This is basically just getting you used to including things such as the Font Awesome CDN, including Bootstrap, etc. So this is going to be a pretty simple site. The next thing that we want to do, we don't need this app.play.php file anymore open. The next thing we want to do is we want to define a new route. And that new route is going to be for our About page. And we're going to use the Pages controller. And at get about, and we'll save that. We will also do a new thing. We are going to name these routes. And the way you do that is by chaining on the name function, method, whatever you want to call it. And we're just going to call this pages.about. And we'll also name the index page, and I'm sure you guys already know it's going to call pages.index. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and duplicate this, and we'll put a contact. Now you can either do /about or just about. If it's just about it, Laravel will already know that you mean the /about page. So we'll do get contact, and we'll do pages.contact. And actually, we won't use the pages controller. We'll use the contact controller. We'll create a new controller for that one. But for right now, because of the because we have not created that controller, contact dot show. Yeah, contact dot show. Because we haven't created that contact controller, we're going to go ahead and comment that out and work on our about controller for right now. So we need to go to our pages controller. We need to define a new function in here. This is going to be a get the about page, and again, this is going to be /about public function get about. And what do we want to do? We want to return the view of pages dot about. Save that, and we'll go into our pages, create a new file called about.blade.php. And what do we need to do in here first? Well, let's extend the layouts.app. We'll have a section of title, and this is going to be about us. We'll have another section, content. We'll end that section. And we'll just put in an H1 right there, hello world, just to make sure that everything's working correctly. Now, we need to go to our partials sidebar, and we are going to learn a little bit more about Laravel and the wonderful things about Blade. So, we can open up a curly braces or double curly braces. So we'll open up double curly braces and we'll close double curly braces. And we'll go ahead and type in route. And now we need to give the route name, right? So if you look back at our routes file, you can see pages.about, okay? And that is linked to the /about URL. So inside of here, which is an anchor tag, inside of the href, we're going to give the href the pages.about URL. And we'll just put about us as the link, and we'll save it. We'll refresh. Now this is changed to about us, and if you look down at the bottom left-hand corner of the Google Chrome window, you'll see localhost port 8000/about. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Wonderful, awesome. And because we've included because we've extended our route, because we have extended our template, our layouts.app template, we automatically get this sidebar here, which is absolutely wonderful. So what about the home page, right? If we click on home, it doesn't go anywhere. Well, that's because we need to go ahead and also define the route here as well, and this is going to be pages.index. We'll save that, refresh, and now if we click on home, it goes home. If we click on about, it goes to the about page. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and get rid of the sidebar for now. We don't need it. And let's go ahead and do a few things. So let's take a look at our layouts.app because I forget. Let's see here. It's inside of our column 12. Wonderful. So yes. Okay, cool. So what we can do is we can do H1 and we'll do about us. We'll do a quick HR tag. And then we'll type in some lorem ipsum. And we'll actually put that in a paragraph. Lorem ipsum. And we will duplicate that 2 times. So now we have 3 paragraphs. We'll refresh. Wonderful. There is some lorem ipsum there. And now, let's see here. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. All right, so our about page is done. And whoops, I didn't mean to save that. I meant to save that and go back. And the next one, the next thing that we're going to do in our next episode is create the contact page. And the contact page is going to have a form, and we will create that form, and it will look wonderful, and we're going to use Bootstrap with it. We're going to make it, really, really nice. So if you're finding this informative, please don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and also shout out to us on Twitter if you would like. Make sure to leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll be sure to answer those as promptly as possible, and hope to see you in the next episode.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Alright guys, welcome back. In the last episode, we created the About page, and we created the Home page, and we made sure that those pages were able to be linked together in the sidebar so that we have active links. So the next thing that we need to do is create our Contacts page. And the reason in the last episode I wanted to make a contact controller is because we are going to have two different routes. And I kind of wanted to group them together inside of their own individual controller rather than just the pages controller. And you'll understand why in just a bit. So in our routes, HTTP routes file, we'll go ahead and uncomment this route get contact and contact controller, and we'll just put get contact and then contact.show as the name. We'll save that. We'll go to our terminal and we'll type in PHP artisan make controller contact controller. Oh, whoops. I forgot I put a space there. My bad. Contact controller. Wonderful. All right, now let's go ahead and open up the controller, contact controller, and we don't need that, and we don't need the partials. All right, so this is going to be show contact form page, and this is going to be /contact. And so we need to find a new public function, just like always, get contact. That's what we said. Yep, get contact. Or actually, let's let's do show form. That'll be a little bit better. So show form. And we'll go ahead and return a view of contact dot form. That's what we're going to go ahead and return the view. So we need to create a new folder, contact, and we need to create not a new folder. We need to create a new file called form.blade.php. We're going to go ahead and extend the layouts.app. We're going to create a title section. And this is going to be contact us. We're going to create another section of content. We'll end this section here. And what we want to do is we want to create another row. And inside that row, we want to have a column of small 8. And we're also going to have a offset of small 2, and then we are going to also put in form inside of there, and that'll be good. And so the action is going to be route, or actually the action right now is not going to be anything because we haven't defined it. So we will save that. And inside of our form, or actually, let's see here. Inside of our column small 8, we're going to go ahead and put an H1 of contact us. Save, and we'll go back to our website, refresh, And we need to change this sidebar here. So we'll go to partials, sidebar. We don't need it to be disabled, and the route is going to be contact.show, and this is going to be contact. Save, refresh. Now we'll go ahead and click on contact. Contact us. Wonderful. All right. So I'll also put an HR tag there, and we will save. The method is going to be post, and let's see here. The method's going to be post, right? Yes. Method's going to be post. Okay. And we need to create a label for name. And inside of that, we're just going to call it name. And we are going to create a new input. Input type is text. Name equals name. Class is going to be form control. Save that. Refresh it. Form. Why can't I spell control? Form control. Awesome. So there's the name. And I actually don't like how big this form is, so let's go ahead and do 6. And then we'll have an offset of 3. Save. 3, 6. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Cool. Perfect. That looks a lot better. Wonderful. So now we'll go ahead and do another label. This is going to be for email. And this is going to be email. And the input type is going to be email. The name is going to be email. And the class is going to be form control again. And the next one is label for message. Message. It's going to be a text area. Name is going to be message. We don't need an ID. And we'll save it. Actually, we need to also create a class of form control for this one as well. Refresh. Wonderful. Now, as you can see, the email label is touching the input on the top, and same with the message. So we need to add some margin there. And that's a wonderful thing of Bootstrap is it gives us these margin classes that we can use. So we're going to define margin top, and we'll use 3. You can go from 1 to 5, but we'll just use 3. Refresh. That looks decent. Wonderful. And now we need a button. And the button type is going to be submit. And we're just going to create send email. And this is actually going to be a class of btn, btn success. And we will put this as a btn block as well. Refresh. Also notice that the send email button is touching the input, so we need to put margin top 3 there as well. And as you can see, it's actually touching the bottom of the page. So we'll just do margin Y, which is top and bottom. Save and refresh. And now you can see that it's on the bottom. So if I wanted to do horizontally left and right, I can do X. Y is top and bottom. I can do top. I can do bottom. I can do left. I can do right. But yeah, so there's margin top and bottom 3, which is awesome. And that looks good to me. Wonderful. All right. So in the next episode, we've created our contact form. So in the next episode, we are going to talk about how to send this email using Laravel's built-in notification system. Instead of saving this to a database, we're going to use the notification system in order to make this work. And we'll also include a tutorial on Mailtrap and how to set up Mailtrap. That way you can test out your application in development, but then when you move to production, you can change it to Gmail or any type of other email service provider that will allow you to send and receive emails. We'll explain all of that in the next episode. If you like this video, if it was informative and descriptive, or if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter is @_webdevhacks. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. You know what to do. Thank you very much for tuning in.